taking, just be. Don't take it. Taking, just don't be. And live my life. Don't take it personal. I ain't lying. I ain't hiding. I've been grinding.
Hello, my name is Epiphania Samasuo, reporting live from the bottom. Confession time. I confess to going to Gambia to look for a sangoma to help me with my marriage. Yes, I said it, Gambia, because my marriage was showing me flames. My husband was a woman-chasing, serial cheating sex addict. He was always on a private hunt, living the life of a married bachelor. He couldn't seem to leave the girls alone, and I was hurtful. I was not going to leave him because I still loved him, for those who may ask. He's a good father, and besides, we have assets, major assets and investments. We've been married for 14 years and we have 5 children together, plus 3 from his cheating, so it makes it, all in all, 8 kids in our home. His mother and his sisters never helped me fight off his many women. I was fighting a losing battle alone. He's the only boy and he's the eldest, so he's kind of the beloved son and brother. He can do no wrong in his family's eyes. He would take his girlfriends to his mother's house for introductions, and these girls would visit his mother from time to time. They'd cook for his mother, buy presents for her with her son's money, and she entertained them full time, like she didn't have a legally married daughter-in-law. My husband has 2 sisters. One is quiet and keeps to herself, Shem. She's so nice and she tried her best, but eventually gave up on her brother. And I couldn't keep bothering her because I saw that she had tried her best and her brother was 10 toes deep in his hoeing ways. And then the other sister, she's one chacharach piece of shit. Does she not offer unsolicited advice to any and all problems, even on things that she has no experience with at all? Does she not see herself as an expert on everything, from the Cyprus currency to the Spanish Inquisition to zebra breeding, to anyone who will give her the time of day? Kungwarira padurise uku, kungwarira zvisina basa kastupid kemunhu. The very first time I met her, I could tell that I was going to have a know-it-all sister-in-law situation. Every time her brother would cheat, she'd say maybe he's not happy. Why not read such and such a book to help you make him a happy husband? Why don't you try and be more respectful? Why don't you attend church and such a conference from our church women's conference group? You'll learn a lot from our prophetess. Why don't you lose some weight? It was always, why don't you? Sitting there with her knuckles that looked like Ma Azuka's burnt sacrifice. Imni site bleachem. Her knuckles look like someone who used to play karate or bare knuckle boxing, and her feet. She knew very well that men don't cheat because the love and respect is lacking. They cheat because they lack self-control. Her brother was cheating because his flesh was weak, finish and clar. The rest, kwankwa kungovukura. She never held her brother accountable for anything. It was always my fault. No matter how submissive, feminine, beautiful, successful, sexual, sufficient, fun, nurturing, caring, and intelligent a woman is, a misogynistic, careless, self-serving, egotistical, manipulative man is gonna do what he gonna do to please himself. Period. I had tried everything from counseling to threatening to divorce him, and nothing had worked. Nothing works when you're the only one trying. He was not trying to change for nobody. It seemed like I was the enemy of progress on his hoeing journey. Apart from the therapists, I had consulted prophets and sangomas. I had prayed and fasted for years. There is no mountain in Mutare that I hadn't climbed to do mountaintop prayers, all-night prayers and early morning prayers. I did those in the mountains of Mutare. I almost died doing a 12-day fast and had to be airlifted to hospital from a mountaintop. I had done everything from putting his name in my pillow with his picture and some snuff and some juju to boiling my dirty underwear and making beef stew with the water like the sangomas had told me. It didn't work. Nothing worked with this man. And since his mother and his chacharach sister didn't like me, I had to find my own solutions. I have no sisters and no mother, so I had no one to turn to. So, don't judge me. Let's go back to the beginning. His mother never liked me right from the start. When we got engaged, my husband, his name is Musa, called his parents to tell them the news. His mother said congratulations and then hung up without letting Musa's father come to the phone. But anyway, I thought that everything at this point was just fine. The day after we got engaged, his mother sat us down and said she was not happy with our engagement. She said she did not feel that she knew me at all, despite the fact that I had been dating her son for 4 years. We met at university. Prior to the engagement, I had attended several family functions where she was there. She had met many of my friends, and she had met some of my relatives. So she knew the most important things about me. I didn't know what else she wanted to know. She said she thought her son and I were going to live for 10 years or so before we got married, and that she just couldn't handle us getting married right now. And she said that in the meantime, I was not to show Melanie my engagement ring. Melanie is Musa's chacharach sister, the know-it-all sister. The reason that Melanie didn't have a ring yet, apparently, Melanie had also gotten quote-unquote engaged some time back, and she was still waiting for her fiancé to buy her an engagement ring from overseas. Who engages someone without a ring ready? And why wait to buy a ring from overseas when diamonds are dug up here in Africa? It's not like Africa doesn't have the best diamonds. My mother-in-law said to me, her daughter is a sensitive person and we should not do anything to upset her. So I shouldn't be insensitive and show her my ring. Basically, I was not to wear my engagement ring. After Musa and I got married, I discovered that he had been cheating ever since we met. I tried to fight these side chicks with a good word, with quotes and verses from the Bible and all. Aibo! Was I not made a laughing stock by his side chicks and his family with my profound Bible verses? After trying and failing to get his sister and his mother to help me out, Melanie, the chacharach sister, Kanunzwa Tunzwa, eventually sent me a text and said, quote, why don't you leave him? Because if you have to force things, then you should just accept, and unquote. Then he started dating this one girl who made me get admitted at the hospital for depression. The girl was something else. I had several confrontations with her, and she would never admit that she was having an affair with my husband. I would stalk her social media pages, and the captions told me all I needed to know. She would taunt me with her captions and her pictures. One of her captions that I still remember was, "If you think the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, you're aiming too high. Come and get some tips." She kept posting his hands and back, thinking I was dumb. She was trying to provoke me, so I started fighting publicly with her. Alone, mind you, because his family decided to stay out of it. I eventually realized that harassing her and fighting her doesn't work when the man won't leave her alone. For 3 years, I was regularly checking myself in at the depression clinic in Mutare, checking myself in and out, and in again, while they were busy checking in at airports, going on holidays together. My husband eventually moved out, saying he needed space and time alone to reflect. Meanwhile, he and this woman were staying together. He had not even filed for divorce yet, so I said my kids were not going to a prostitute's house. He eventually said he wanted an official separation, with us sharing custody of the kids. Then he involved his girlfriend in our co-parenting issues. She would call me and I would block every number she'd use. Then my husband invited me to a co-parenting meeting at his parents' house, which I refused to attend because his girlfriend was going to be part of the meeting. Then he wanted to take me to mediation court because he said I was being unreasonable, spiteful, and bitter. I decided to go to his mother's house unannounced one day to talk to her about all of this, and I saw his sister's car parked outside, that Chacharach sister Melanie. It was parked outside his mother's house. So I decided to go up to the living room window and eavesdrop. And guess who the hot topic was? Me. I heard the mother say, Yo wabekezela shem. And this was the last straw. Needless to say, next location was Gambia. I decided to change course and try getting help from across the borders. And I say borders because to get to Gambia from Zimbabwe, you must cross over 7 countries. Gambia is the smallest country in mainland Africa. I was now catching flights and not feelings. I was in communication with a guide for about 2 months before the journey. Kidnapping and human trafficking did cross my mind, but I was desperate. I had no option. I was not going to tell anyone about my journey to Gambia. I was not going to ask anyone for advice because Abantu will expose you. So I decided to go there alone without telling anyone. I was like, Lord, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? That was the burning question. I know this is a wild, wild situation, but I had to do what I had to do to get my husband back. I arrived in Gambia and met my 3 guides at the airport. The guides' names were Kampepe, Fichu Fichu, and Nderegoma. They were from the Manjako tribe, and their religion was traditional animist. And this tribe is scattered across Guinea-Bissau, Gambia, Senegal, and Portugal. The sun was going down as we approached the village we were going to. The bats were flying around like flies. They were everywhere. At first I thought it was small birds flying in the evening breeze, but no, they were bats. I immediately wrapped a head wrap around my head. I didn't want to have a bat fly in my hair. I had never seen so many bats in my life, and I'm terrified of bats. That area had a bad bat infestation. They explained to me that because it's rainy season, a lot of fruit bats are mainly found during that season when flowers and fruits are in abundance. The mango trees were full of juicy looking mangoes, but every single mango tree had bats. I love mangoes, but I just couldn't eat bat infested mangoes. The guides told me that the bats help the area by eating malaria causing mosquitoes. On the 3rd day of my stay, it was my time to go and consult the oracle regarding the reason I was there and what I needed help with. We woke up early in the morning and headed to the secret shrine. We waded through the mangroves with different colored frogs in the water, tree frogs in the trees, crowned bullfrogs, and reed frogs in the water. Name them, they were there. From an infestation of bats to an invasion of frogs. And I hate frogs. I'm terrified of them, just as I'm terrified of the bats. I was thinking, what if one frog jumps into my mouth and lodges itself in my throat like in the horror movies? I was so jumpy and letting out mini screams every time I had spotted a frog. My heart was pounding and I was told to close my mouth and clench my teeth so as not to scream, because these were sacred swamps. Screaming was not allowed. I couldn't walk straight because with every step that I took, several frogs would jump from their hiding place. It was a nightmare. After a long walk, we got out of the water and stepped into an area that had the biggest, strangest looking monkeys I had ever seen in my entire life. I had never seen a monkey that was not in a zoo before, and I quickly realized that I was afraid of monkeys. They were looking at us, eyeballing us to be exact, with their reddish-brownish eyes. The guide told me that these were Guinea baboons, also known as papio papio. I couldn't care less about what breed the monkeys were. All I could think of was, do they bite? Isn't there another route to the place we're going to? My heart was now in my throat, and I was sweating badly. The people I was with started beating the drums they were carrying, and within minutes, we were encircled by those large baboons with their red eyes. And I peed on myself right there and then. I was terrified. I was told to kneel, facing the ground, as the baboons surrounded us. I couldn't keep my head down because I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to fall prey to these baboons. I wanted to keep an eye on them while they were surrounding us. After about 10 minutes of the drums beating and the baboons settling around us, my guide told me to raise my head and look at the queen of the baboons, who was seated on a rock above the other baboons. He said I should tell the baboons my reason for coming to Gambia. I felt really stupid at this point, telling monkeys that my husband and his girlfriends were showing me flames. I just knew right then I had thrown my money and my life away. I had thrown my money down the drain. I couldn't talk. I was shivering so bad. Did they expect me to actually talk to monkeys? To talk to baboons? Tell monkeys my problem? I couldn't talk. One of the monkeys took a small gourd, peed in it, and handed it to me, and the guide told me to take it. I couldn't even reach my hand out. I was shaking so bad. The guide handed me the gourd and told me to drink it and not spit any of it out or vomit, as that would be a sign of disrespect. Drinking the pee was supposed to calm my nerves. I almost fainted. Who drinks monkey pee? I drank the warm, salty, smelly baboon pee, and within a couple of seconds, my nerves settled down and I was able to talk. I was told by the guides to speak in my native tongue, which is Shona. So now, baboons in Gambia understand Shona. Anyway, I told the baboons everything about my troubled marriage, and they were nodding like they could hear what I was saying. I felt so silly, really. Then the queen of the baboons started making some strange noises, and all the other baboons joined in. And the guide told me that the queen of the baboon is saying they've heard everything that I've said, and now I should take out the stuff I had brought. I took out my husband's dirty boxer shorts, his dirty shirt, a pair of his shoes, a pair of his trousers, beard hair that he had shaved and thrown in the bin, and a small towel with his semen on it, and also several of his photos. I took out his girlfriend's bra and panties, her toothbrush, her earrings, and a pair of her shoes and her hat. Some of the things I had found in my house, some of the things I had found in my car. I also had her photo, and I also had photos of other girls who I knew were sleeping with my husband. I had brought all that to Gambia. The monkeys passed the items around, smelling everything and making strange noises. One of the baboon then took everything, all of the items, and gave them to the queen of the baboons. Queen of the baboons put them on the ground in a small heap and did the number 2 on the items. Stru's God. Then the other baboons started making loud noises and jumping up and down, showing their long yellow teeth. I was told to smear the queen's baboon feces on all of the items that I had brought with my bare hands. I was told to put everything in a small bag woven out of reeds, tie it and throw it in the mangroves. My husband's pictures were put in a bottle, which was then closed tight with a lid, and I was told to place it somewhere else where the guides would instruct me to. Soon after that, the baboons disappeared, one by one. The guide told me what the baboons had done would make my husband see the owners of those items look like kak. My husband would never see all those girls the same again from now going forward. As for my husband's picture, we went deeper into the mangroves, into snake territory. Snakes! Of all things, snakes! I was numb. And need I say, I don't like snakes. I am terrified of snakes. There were all types of snakes hanging from the trees, and some were on the ground. This whole place looked like it had all the creepy crawlies that I was afraid of. There were spitting cobras with their necks flared out like they were about to spit in my eyes. Imagine going back home blind to a cheating husband and his slay queen girlfriends. Then we reached an area that had large lizards. The guide said the lizards were called agama agama. I was told to leave the small pouch that had the money that I had to pay for my services. I put the pouch on the ground, and one of the lizards put the pouch in its mouth, and all the lizards disappeared into the thicket. The lizards disappeared with a pouch full of 15,000 US dollars in cash, just like that. From there, we went to an area that had hyenas. I was told that these were spotted hyenas, also known as the laughing hyenas. The spotted hyena is the national animal of Gambia. I was told to pick a handful of stones that had the hyenas paw on them and put them in a small pouch they had given me. After I had picked up several stones that had the hyena's poo on them and placed them in the pouch, did the hyenas not start laughing and giggling as I was walking away? I could hear their laughing and giggling long after we had left that place. I could hear their laughter while I was on the plane on my way home. I just felt like a fool. Even hyenas were laughing at my foolishness. These side chicks, may they never see the stairs that lead to the gates of heaven. May they forever wander in the dark looking for those stairs, and may nobody ever show them because, wow, they have no hearts. I was told by the guides that I should put one rock at a time in a jug of water and let the rock sit in there overnight and infuse, sort of, and then pour some of that water in my husband's tea, in my husband's drinking water, in his bath water, and pour it while I was preparing his food, his soups, whatever that he would ingest. I should pour some of that water with the hyena's poo on it. It was supposed to repel females from him. When I got home, I knelt down and cried. Is this what I had to go through to make my husband love me? Is this what I had to endure to keep my marriage intact? I felt so low, so dirty at such desperation. Apparently, the baboon pee that I drank was also to make him see me in a different light. He now sees the beauty, the gorgeousness, the top-tier wife that I have always been, but he couldn't see. I did everything I had been told to do, and it worked like magic. Those people in Gambia had done the things that make the post to be done, Shim. If you know, you know. The tables have turned, and I am now in control of everything. Shiria vuta reken. Wise men say, only fools rush in where angels fear to tread. I went to hell and back for my marriage, literally. I don't regret what I have done. He started this whole mess and the end justifies the means, according to me. My marriage has never been happier. We plan together, we work together, we go out together, we pop the shampopo together. He buys me flowers. We now do everything together as a loving couple. I guess he had no choice since nobody wants him now. He's all mine now. He massages my feet after a long day. He makes sure all my needs are catered to. No more passwords on all our personal devices. The Gambian muti worked and I'm happy with the results. Marriage is challenging. Men will cause you to do things you never ever thought you would ever do in your entire life. Men will drive you crazy, and to the point of going all the way to Gambia to look for a solution. Aye, boo. But he left me no choice. And also, sometimes your in-laws will fail you, Shem. They will watch you fight for your marriage alone while their relative does whatever. Talking to the baboons about my husband's makwapenis was my lowest point. And then having those hyenas laugh at me, ooh, shame. But I don't care a damn. The Juju and the Korobela worked, and I'm happy and I'm satisfied with the results. Safe to say, I got good value for my money. My whole 15,000 US dollars of it. No man or woman formed against scamming my husband will succeed. No Instagram model formed against my husband will succeed. No woman formed against taking my husband will succeed. Now I'm sipping my Bombayan Sapphire gin, garnished with Lebanese cucumbers in peace. If I see one small mistake, I'm going back to Gambia to sort shit out because these underground gang girls can make your life hell. So ladies, there is a solution across the border there by Gambia, wink wink. It's called patati patata. If you want to know more, Sodibana in the comments and I'll give you the directions. But on a serious note, if there's one animal I never want to see in my life, it's those bloody spotted hyenas. They laughed at me like I was a joke. I still hear their laughter in my ears to this day. Anyway, that's the end of my confession. I had to do what I had to do, and it worked for me. Gambia to the people. Thank you.